Right, everybody. Hey, welcome to this latest episode of Movies Merica Live. And as you can see, things are a little bit different from the typical Movies Merica Live episode that I do on Sundays. I've got a very bare bones streamlined episode of Movies Merica Live this week because I have not got the evil Movies Merica secret lair quite constructed quite yet. So, okay, I'm still waiting for the sharks with frickin' laser beams to be imported there, and got some cavern stuff I got to put in here, some scaffolding and some catwalks and all that over here. But soon, however, the Movies America Evil Secret Lair will be at full operating capacity. Okay, but for right now, though, you're getting a very bare bones edition of Movies America Live. But that's not going to stop me from spoiler-free reviewing Final Destination Bloodlines today. So, and hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I've got the lav mic on here. I don't even know if the audio is even coming through the lav mic. It might just be coming through the speaker on my iPhone here. Who knows? That's what I'm using for a camera here. So apologies in advance for the subpar quality or lesser quality than you're used to with the typical episodes. Not that the production values of my typical episodes are sky high by any means, but they're at least little better than what you're seeing here today. But nonetheless, I want to welcome my movie maniacs and my fellow freedom-fueled film fanatics here. And as always, I'm your humble host, Van Eberts, here for this Movies America Live. And again, like I said, we're going to be going over Final Destination Bloodlines, the #1 movie at the box office here, big time. I mean, it made like 43, 44 million this weekend here. So it took the #1 spot over, I think, Thunderbolts there. So a lot of people, they missed Final Destination because Final Destination hasn't had a movie come out in 14 years, everybody. 14 years. And so it's time for it to come back. And I think that this particular episode here is a worthy kickstart for maybe restarting the franchise. Okay, they did what Marvel and DC and Star Wars should do. They took an 11-year break and made people miss the franchise. And voila, look at this. They are exceeding expectations by far at the box office because they did that smart thing where they took a break here and let everybody miss the franchise and let everyone sit there and go, you know what I really miss is those Final Destination movies. They're like, hey, do you remember those Final Destination movies? Do you remember those? Yeah, like back in the 2000s and whatnot. Yeah, back when like Creed was a thing, and you had Hinder coming out with hits, and Friends was still coming. Well, Friends probably ended even before that. But you get my point. It's been a minute since Final Destination, a Final Destination movie has come out, but it's back this week here, and apparently people are showing their appreciation for the Final Destination movies by dropping it, but by skyrocketing it to #1 at the box office. But I think there's a good reason why it was #1. I personally like the movie as long as you know what you're going into with the Final Destination movie. Okay, don't expect Oppenheimer, don't expect Citizen Kane. These movies know exactly what they are. They are just a welcome escape for those people that are kind of like me, kind of twisted, okay, a little bit, out there, where we like our carnage candy. We like our movies with some blood and some gore, and it's just kind of a nice little escape. It's almost like, for me, it's not really the blood and the gore or anything like that. Really, it's more like, what can they come up with next as far as a cause of death, right? Particularly in these Final Destination movies, because in the Final Destination movies, nobody just gets shot with a silencer, right? Like nobody just falls asleep, or dies in their sleep, right? Nobody gets a rusty nail stuck in their foot, and later on dies of tetanus. Okay, no, in the Final Destination movies, you die horribly. Okay, you're getting crushed. Your body's getting split in half. Your head's getting chopped off. Your body's getting contorted in shapes that it was never meant to be contorted into. You're getting burned alive. I mean, all kinds of weird, horrific, terrible deaths here. And so, as we know, if you've ever seen a Final Destination movie here, but just in case we have any of the uninitiated to the Final Destination cinematic universe in here, pretty much they always have like a main character where they're going to go do something. They're going to fly in a plane or cross a bridge or ride a roller coaster or something like that. And something takes over them. They have a premonition of everyone dying while they're riding the roller coaster or flying in an airplane or something like that. And so Final Destination typically does a pretty good job at showing you the terrible accident, the terrible catastrophe that takes place, whether it's on an airplane, an airplane blowing up, or a roller coaster accident, or a bridge collapsing. It always does a good job at showing you the horrificness, if that's a word, the terror, the blood, the gore, the gruesomeness of such an accident. And then all of a sudden, you just like cut to the person that is having this premonition, and it's like, it was all just a dream. Oh my God. And oh my God, we're about to get on that roller coaster right now. And then the main character ends up, stopping everybody. Hey, everybody, don't go on the roller coaster. You're all going to die. Don't get on there. And then, of course, in every Final Destination movie, they're all like, get out of here. Ain't nothing's going to happen. This roller coaster ride's going to be fine. See you in 2 minutes when I get off the roller coaster. Just stop freaking out and being so paranoid. And then they all get in a roller coaster. They all get on the jet. They all get on, they go across the bridge. And next thing you know, planes are blowing up. Roller coaster cars are flying off the tracks. Bridge cables are snapping, and cars are falling off the bridge, and people are dying horrible deaths. And, of course, the protagonist is like, I told you, I warned everybody, and then that's when the cops always show up, law enforcement always shows up like, hey, how did you know that this was going to happen? Do you have anything to do with this? Well, we'll be keeping our eyes on you, and so that's part of the premise. And then the premise is the people that they save, because there's always like a few people that believe the main character, like, whoa, you're freaking me out. Okay, I won't get on that roller coaster. And their lives are saved for now. Okay. And then the part of the premise is death doesn't want to be cheated. Death, had designs for these people. They were supposed to die on that roller coaster or that bridge or that airplane or the shopping mall or whatever, right? And you've cheated death out of its design, out of these people dying. And so you've only saved them temporarily, main protagonist. Okay, the people that you saved, are going down, and they're going to go down in horrific ways. You could have just let them die in that plane crash, but no, they are now going to die, with a pop can getting flopped into their face, or strangled by a ceiling fan, or something like that, or they're going to end up in a wood chipper, some horrific death, right? And so that's the premise of the movies, is that you got this group of people, typically teenagers, typically like a bunch of 30-year-old actors playing teenagers. And the whole movie, they're trying to avoid dying these horrible deaths right there. And now, the difference with the latest one, Final Destination Bloodlines, is that it goes back in time. Okay, it's trying to explain the origins of the Final Destination premise, where there's one person that has a premonition that everyone's going to die horribly in some kind of catastrophe, and then they warn everybody to save everybody. And so they're trying to explain the first occurrence that happened. And so that's the occurrence that you may have seen in the trailers of Final Destination Bloodlines, where they're up in the Space Needle Tower and you see it blow up, and that all takes place in 1968. And I'm not going to spoil anything because that's all been in the trailer. And so if you've seen the trailer, you see that things don't go well in that little Sky Needle tower that they're in, the little restaurant that's in the Sky Needle type tower there. And then the protagonist, the main protagonist that has a premonition, her name is Iris in that situation. And she's going in this tower with her boyfriend. He's trying to take her on this romantic date, exclusive reservations up at this tower restaurant. And of course, her boyfriend's like, wow, what a win, what a victory for me. Like, what a great opportunity. I get to impress my girlfriend by taking her up to this, this premiere night at this restaurant up in this tower. It's going to be fantastic. And, initially Iris, his girlfriend's like, yeah, all right, sweet, baby, okay. And what a great romantic gesture, And then as they go up in the elevator to go up to this tower restaurant, then she starts feeling uneasy. Even when she's still on the ground, she's kind of looking around like, oh my God, I'm seeing all kinds of troubling sights here, And then they go up into the elevator, and the elevator operator says things like, hey, the great thing about this tower is it was finished like 5 months early. And of course, Iris is like, is that a good thing? And then she goes up there. She's at a restaurant with her boyfriend, and they are, he's having a good time, and they run into some turbulence and that kind of thing. So the whole time though, when she's trying to enjoy this romantic gesture with her boyfriend, and she's looking around like, oh, I'm seeing some stuff here. I'm hearing some stuff. Things don't seem right. I'm getting a little uneasy. And so then eventually she does have the full premonition of terrible, terrible, gory, gruesome, bloody things happening to everyone in the tower there. And then I'm not going to say what happens next, but then they fast forward in time from 1968 to present day. And then we meet our new main protagonist. And this main protagonist is in the vein of most main protagonists for most Final Destination movies, where they're like in college or high school or something like that. And her name is Stefani, and she's having nightmares. And her nightmare that she's having is of the tower disaster that Iris was at there. And she's wondering, like, wait, why do I have this continual nightmare of this same tower disaster? What's going on here? And she learns that the woman in the dream, her name is Iris. Okay, so the nightmares are so vivid for her that she knows the names of the people in this nightmare here. And so she figures out, oh, Iris is somebody of significance to her. She's got to go see her family, and her family becomes the group of people that have to worry about, like, like, are we gonna die? They have to. The whole movie is preventing them from dying. And if you've seen any of the other Final Destination movies, you can try to prevent it all day long, but death is going to punch your ticket one way or another. Right there. So, but real quick here, let me remind you, if you would, here on this bare bones streamlined episode of Movies Merica Live, to go ahead and like the episode if you would. Okay, so only if you feel like it. Okay, so if you are so inclined, hit the old like button down below. Okay, and also you can like any of my past episodes as well if you're really, really bored and you want to go through all my past episodes and just hit the like button over and over again. Feel free. I'm not going to stop you. I mean, I'm going to give you a gold medal if you do that. And then also hit that subscribe button again down there if you would. And now, if you already have hit the subscribe button, don't hit it again, because then you'll unsubscribe. But yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. And then feel free to let anybody that you even remotely suspect is into movies, let them know about this channel and this episode here via forwarding the link to this episode to them. And then if you would so kindly ask them to hit the old like button and subscribe as well, that'd be fantastic. Very simple, very easy. Even I can do it. And then there's the notification bell down there as well. So if you can gather here, or as you're gathering, there's a lot of buttons down below here in the episode. We got a like button, subscribe button, and a notification bell down there. So go ahead and get click happy and click those buttons there. And then if you're not watching the episode live, feel free to still reach out to me, because I want to get the lines of communication out there with you and me. You know, I want to communicate back and forth in between us here. So, and if you're just watching the recording of this, you can still do that via the comments section down below. Okay, let me know what you think of the episode. Now, I'm assuming there's going to be probably some criticism about this episode right here. Maybe from some people like, wait, what kind of studio setup do you have there, man? It looks, production value sucks. All right, your volume's terrible. Just got a couple of monitors back here. You just got a white wall, that kind of thing. So I might hear some crap about that, but oh well, life moves on here. Pretty soon the secret evil Movies America layer will be constructed there. All right. So, but yeah, if you would send the link to this episode, or if you want to send the link to my entire Movies America page on Rumble, or you can do that off of YouTube as well. Send that to somebody and go from there. All right. So how about some more Final Destination Bloodlines, everybody? And, I got to say that this movie, it's corny. I mean, it's got a family involved with it. Like I was just saying, the family comprises the group of people that are trying not to die. Okay, and the family relationship that they portray here, the writing is very corny, and it's just like, it's almost like an AI representation of a family. You've got this main character, Stefani, and then she's got, her dad and her brother, and then her uncle, and then her three cousins, and then her estranged mother, and they become the group of people trying not to die. And the writing is just very mediocre, very meh, and it's very corny, and it tries to make you care about the characters. But if you're me, when I watch these Final Destination movies, the group of characters, they're just cannon fodder. They're just like, oh yeah, okay, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. I wonder how you're gonna die. Okay, are you gonna get burned alive? You get squished? You're gonna get ground up into puppy chow, and what's gonna happen? They're just grist for the mill, right? So I don't care about these characters there. So when they die, it's not so horrific, because these are just like cardboard cutouts of characters there. They're cannon fodder going on with that. And like I said before, it's been 14 years, people, since the last Final Destination movie, and people are hungry for it. And I think that this is going to kickstart the franchise again, because this movie has got a really high audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like in the 90s. It's like 94% on Rotten Tomatoes for the audience score. Forget the critic score. I don't care what the critics say on Rotten Tomatoes, but I would imagine like the reviews for it are pretty good on like Critic List and Letterboxd, and the Metacritic score is probably pretty good for Final Destination Bloodlines here. But yeah, it's pretty good movie there, and also about the family. These characters are very exaggerated characters. Okay, they're always yelling, they're always shouting, they're always making these very animated movements, and they're just like very cartoonish in the way that they talk, and in the way that they interact with each other, and they're always banging glasses down and slamming doors, and they're very like just very a little too. They're like alpha male tryhards. Even the women are act like that, except for Stefani, the main protagonist, which that's usually the case, right? The main protagonist is like, the more stoic, reserved, contemplative character. And then all the other characters are a bunch of like goofy cartoon characters, right? And that's the same way in this movie, and particularly the character of Eric, I believe is his name is. He's the one who's got the nose ring and the Prince Albert, and he's got the the earrings, and he's got piercings everywhere, which does not end up working out for him too well in a later scene. So I will just leave it at that there. And then we get an appearance from Tony Todd, and this the late great Tony Todd, that is the closest to a constant character throughout these Final Destination movies. But yeah, it's a worthy entry to the whole Final Destination cinematic universe here, and as of right now, it's the highest rated entry in the universe, so to speak. And because it's kind of interesting, because I like most of the other Final Destination movies, but they've never really been very well critically reviewed. Because yes, most movie critics, they're kind of haughty, and they always drink with their pinkies in the air, and they're very snobby, when it comes to horror movies, particularly like these kinds of movies, like the Final Destination movies are. But so they're usually even with the audience, the ratings for the Final Destination movies aren't always the best. But this one, it's up there. It's up there. So I would recommend checking out this movie right here. Okay. So even though this is a bare bones edition of Movies America Live, I would definitely never ever go through a episode without doing a brew review time. Now, again, since I don't have my bells and whistles, I don't have a brew review time intro to play. You're not seeing the overlays and the graphics and all that here today again. So, but hey, that's not going to stop me from doing a brew review time. And so, right there with that, I've got a 1664 Blanc here, and that's brewed in, I believe, in Cronenbourg, France. And as you know, if you took French class in high school, Blanc means white in French there. And of course, the English word blank comes from that as well. And this is just a French wheat beer. And the 1664, that's the first year that this was brewed. Okay, so 1664 Blanc, been around for a while, been around for a little bit. Okay, so since 1664, they're okay. And so, of course, that was way before, the internet, and, they didn't, there probably wasn't a whole lot of YouTube videos and people live streaming in 1664. So now, finally, I'm doing 1664 Blanc a favor and live streaming a positive review for the 1664 Blanc right there. So, you're welcome there, 1664 Blanc. I would recommend this beer, as I just insinuated right there. And it's probably going to be one of the harder beers for people to find anywhere. You might be able to go to like I got this at a Total Wine and More. But if you can't get it, at your local Gas and Gulp, or you can't just drive your jalopy down to your local grocery store and pick yourself up some 1664 Blanc. You could probably maybe Uber Eats would have it, or Open Bars, an app on your phone. You could grab this. But I would recommend this just because it does have a nice, slight citrusy taste to it. It's got some good zing to go with the wheat beer here. It's a good light beer to drink. It's like 5% alcohol by volume. So you could do a whole lot worse for a beer to just enjoy, like on, you're at the swimming pool, you're just getting done mowing the lawn, something like that. And again, I know right now it sounds like I'm doing a pitch for 1664 Blanc right now. It's like I sound like a 1664 Blanc show right now, but I'm not getting any money from this brewery at all. So I'm just saying this of my own volition. This is a totally objective review here. If it tasted like piss, I would definitely tell you. And as you guys know from watching my previous episodes, if a beer tastes like piss, I tell you, okay, because I'm not trying to get on anybody's bad side here, particularly now with my movie maniacs and my fellow freedom-fueled film fanatics, who I always thank and appreciate for watching this show. I would not steer you wrong, particularly about beer here. So, but enough about talking about this. I'd rather drink it here. So with that, here we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got that citrus going on right there. Not too overpowering. Very, very slight, very subtle. It's got a good kind of aftertaste to it. It's kind of I can't think of a better way of putting it here, but it's got this kind of a slight, smooth, creamy kind of aftertaste to it, but not overpowering. Very subtle. It's like it's just the right amount there. And so I'm trying to describe that without turning people off of this beer here, but it's very good. And yeah, and I think the citrus part of it is what's really causing me to recommend it to anyone that just, it's a hot May, June, July day. You see something to cool off. And also check out the bottle, the distinct blue bottle there. Very cool. We put it back there. So very, very distinct blue bottle. And I like the beer bottles that are dark, so it protects the beer. It doesn't let the light destroy the beer here. But yeah, so if you haven't gathered, I would recommend some 1664 Blanc right here, and that has been this very streamlined brew review time. Here we go. All right, we're going to set this bad boy down right here. And also, hey, don't forget to grab yourself some Movies Merica merch. And even though we don't have the Movies Merica merch overlay showing up on the screen here, that does not stop you from going down and clicking on the merch link down in the description there. It's down there. So we're making it very easy for you to grab yourself like a Movies Merica t-shirt, Movies Merica shot glass, pint glass. So we got flask. Now, we don't just have stuff like that has to do with drinking. We have Movies Merica phone cases, even got Movies Merica yoga pants, okay, if you're in the right shape to be wearing yoga pants, ladies, okay? And all the women are like, you misogynist pig, Hey, I direct that towards dudes, too. I mean, not that I ever think that a dude should ever wear a Speedo, but if you're going to wear a Speedo, dudes, make sure you're in the right shape, okay? But with that, dudes don't ever wear Speedos. That's anyway, I have thoughts about that. So, but yeah, get yourself some Movies Merica merch, or hey, Movies Merica merch makes a great gift. Okay, so again, like I always say, nothing says "I love you, mommy" like some Movies Merica merch right there. Get good old mom a Movies Merica t-shirts, or something like that. And there's a ton of different products there in the merch link there that has the Movies Merica logo emblazoned on it right there. So I can't even possibly remember every single item. There's just so much there for you to enjoy. Okay, so get yourself some of that right there. All right. So, and I mean, I kind of touched on this earlier for another point about the movie here. I always like the Rube Goldberg design of how people die in his Final Destination movies. Because when I say Rube Goldberg, so some of you might not know what I'm referring to or who Rube Goldberg is, what that is. But what it is, the bbest way to describe it is if you've seen like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, way back in 1985, where he's got that contraption in his house where he uses it to feed his dog and make him breakfast. And it's got like, it's got a bunch of pulleys. And then there's like a ball that goes down a track. And then it hits like a duck head that hits a string. And then it sends some water down a tube. And then that water in the tube, kicks off like, with some dominoes that fall. And it's just like a mousetrap kind of contraption like that. And those are referred to like as Rube Goldberg type contraptions or setups there. And so that's the way that people die in these Final Destination movies. It's like a Rube Goldberg setup, right? Like, somebody, like, they're sitting in a chair and they turn around and they hit like a yardstick, and then the yardstick, hits a string, and then the string tightens up, and then it knocks over like a bottle of like, kerosene, and the kerosene flows down, and somebody's smoking a cigarette, and they flick the cigarette, and it hits the kerosene, and then it like sends off this whole chain reaction, that ends up with a chainsaw coming down from the ceiling, and there's all this misdirection. You're thinking, oh, kerosene, oh, the guy's gonna burn alive. Oh, wait, no, somebody threw some water on that, so he's not gonna die by being burnt alive by the kerosene. And then he ends up getting like his head chopped off with a chainsaw coming down from the ceiling. So it's those kind of Rube Goldberg kind of deadly setups that always makes the Final Destination movies, even though the rest of a Final Destination movie might be garbage, it's entertaining enough to kind of just sit through all the boring parts where all the characters are talking with each other, and it's worth like just tolerating that for a few minutes for the next very intricate, very cool and elaborate death sequence there. And Final Destination Bloodlines does not let you down in that regard. There's sequences, there's deadly sequences involving garbage trucks, and of course the tower at the beginning. You got MRI machines. You got all kinds of like great ways, great intricate and entertaining ways for seeing people meet their demise at the hands of death there. Because as the Tony Todd character has told us in many of the Final Destination movies there, death has a design and death will not be denied, okay? If you screw around with death's design, well, it's your ass, okay? And it's also time for the people that you saved to have their ticket punched in horrific, totally ghastly ways with that there. So, all right. So, hey, we've got a great sponsor for each Movies America episode there. And the great sponsor is the fantabulous, the splendiferous magazine known as Flip City Magazine. And you may be wondering, hey, Van, you dropped those words, Flip City Magazine. What kind of magazine is it? All right. Is it all about like fishing? Is it all about knitting? Is it all about riding bikes? Like nope, none of those. It's a humor magazine. It's a funny magazine. All right, it's gonna make you giggle. Okay, maybe while you're knitting, maybe while you're riding a bike. Okay, but it's a funny magazine there, Flip City, okay? And the great thing about this humor magazine, this funny magazine, this magazine that's full of the comedy is it's not political, okay? It's not trying to steer you one way or another, okay? It just wants to make you laugh. It's irreverent, okay? It doesn't censor itself, okay? It's not woke or anything like that, okay? Because the closest two magazines that resemble what Flip City Magazine is now is Mad Magazine and Cracked Magazine. Okay, so remember back in the day, Mad Magazine was huge. Okay, I remember when I was a kid, Mad Magazine was everywhere. Now that was back in the day where magazines were more prevalent than they are now. Okay, it's a sad day because the days of magazine stands are going the way of the velociraptor, going the way of the dinosaur. Okay, but we have at least one great magazine that is standing the test of time, and that is Flip City Magazine. All right, so it's got great comics in it. It's got great artwork, great cartoons, great interviews. Okay, if you're familiar with Nerdrotic, who is a big time personality on YouTube, talks pop culture and all that stuff. They have episodes with interviews or episodes, issues. They have an issue with that has an interview with Nerdrotic. They have interviews with other great characters, other great folks there as well. And we're making it very easy for you to get your hands on some Flip City Magazine because we have a Flip City link, again, down in the description, okay? I'm sure you're gathering by now, we have all kinds of great stuff down in the description, okay? And the Flip City link is one of those great, fantabulous things that you can click on there to get yourself a subscription to Flip City Magazine. And hey, if you already have a subscription yourself, there's nothing to stop you from getting a gift subscription to someone that is near and dear to you in your life. Okay, so that at least get them the subscription before death comes for them and they die a horrific death in an elevator accident, a la the Final Destination movies there. Okay, so you never know when your last day is. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, when you are hesitating perhaps to get yourself a Flip City subscription right there. So time waits for no man. All right. Death is undefeated. Okay. So get your hands on some Flip City magazine today. All right. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next week. Okay. You're not promised next week or anything like that. Okay. So, and what a totally not depressing way to plug Flip City magazine there. So I love it. Oh, let me remind you guys that. So obviously this is Movies Merica Live. This is the Sunday spoiler-free review show here. But this Thursday, I should have the Secret Evil Movies Merica layer all constructed and in time for the Thursday show, which is always my Movies Merica spoiler warning show. And that's the show that does a deeper dive. We do an autopsy on the movie that I am spoiler-free reviewing right now, okay? So I always spoiler-free review a movie on Sunday, and then I take that same movie, and then on the following Thursday, there is no spoiler-free anymore. I talk about that movie, and if I drop a spoiler, so be it, okay? Because I literally have the words spoiler warning in the title of the show right there, okay? So, and that's going to be on this Thursday, as usual, at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, and 4 Pacific, okay? And we make it very easy for you to tune into the show at that time on Thursday night. You just have to go to, say, my Movies Merica X profile, which is quite simply at Movies Merica on X, and you'll see the links to watch the show on Thursday morning, or you can just search Movies Merica on Rumble, okay? And now there's multiple Movies Merica accounts on Rumble. Mine is the one with the tons and tons and tons and tons of episodes on it. The other one has nothing on it. So it'll be very easy for you to know which Movies Merica episode to go to, or which Movies Merica channel or account to go to check out the show right there. But again, that's this Thursday night, all about Final Destination, Bloodlines, all in spoiler-heavy glory. So go out and see Final Destination Bloodlines before Thursday night, because then you can live chat with me, and I, in turn, can live chat with you all about the movie. You can say, oh, man, Van, I love that scene where that dude got taken out like this. Oh, I love that scene where that chick met her demise like this, over here. And or you can, hey, live chat with me and say, I don't know, Van, why are you recommending this movie? This movie stunk. And we could agree to disagree, and we could debate on the live chat and that kind of thing. Now, I'm not really mentioning the live chat so much in this episode here, because it's right here. This is the first episode where I've actually used the Rumble Studio app on my phone. So I'm a big dummy, and I'm slow to know the features of all these new apps and that kind of thing. So if you ask me how to find the live chat on this thing, well, get ready for me to have a big question mark above my head and a clueless look on my face. Like, oh, I don't know. Where's the live chat on this thing? I don't know. Where's that? So I'm not even going to try to find a live chat on this thing while I'm trying to do this show right here. Now, after the show's over with, I'm probably going to have some folks, get on me like, hey, Van, it's so easy. It's right here on the app right there. And then I'll know for next time, all right? But since this is my big debut on the Rumble Studio app that you can find on my phone, that's my excuse, and I'm going to stick to it. Okay, so I'm pleading cluelessness with the Rumble Studio app, which I typically do in life. I like to plead cluelessness. It's served me very well throughout life. I'm not gonna lie whatsoever there. So one of the other things that I always go over with the Sunday show, the Movies Merica Live show, is warning you whether the movie of the week that I'm reviewing is a woke after school special. Okay. Now, some of you might be looking around going, what in God's name is an after school special? Okay. Because there's a certain generation, a younger generation here, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, whatever, that they don't know what after school specials were. Okay. It's a relic of its time. And so I will tell you what they were. So back in my day, we had these things called TVs, and they only had 3 channels on them. Okay, and one of the channels had what's called after-school specials. So what they were are they as the name implies, they come on after kids get out of school. And so you get out of school, you fire up the TV, and these after school specials come on, and they're always about something like, hey, kids, when a kid offers you a cigarette, don't you take it, or don't ever get into a car with a drunk driver, or, just warning kids, don't do something that's bad, okay? And they're always very corny, very cheesy. And so now when I see a movie that's trying to be more woke than entertaining, I always think those movies they're not just pathetic and lame, they're very corny, very cheesy. Okay. So, and you just, pick any movie I like Barbie that came out like almost 2 years ago, right? It was very woke. Okay. And so where there's a whole bunch of people that found that movie entertaining, I not only found it, nauseating, I found it cheesy. I found it very corny because that movie was a woke after school special because it wasn't trying to entertain. It was trying to teach you a woke lesson. All right. You need to do this in order to be woke. Okay. It's 2023 and you need to do this. All right. In order to live a good woke life. Okay. So that's not a movie that's trying to be entertaining. That's a movie that's trying to scold you like a nun at a Catholic school, slapping on the hand with a ruler, like you need to be more woke there. Okay, so Barbie is an excellent example of a woke after school special. So since I've got that definition and that explanation out of the way, that long-winded explanation, as I'm sure some of you are saying right now, is Final Destination Bloodlines is a woke after school special. And I've got good news to shout from the top of the mountain. Final Destination Bloodlines is not a woke after school special whatsoever, okay? They realize that movies should be entertaining, okay? Entertaining, and that's what they do. They entertain, okay? This movie does not lecture. And so it just wants to give you all kinds of great, exciting sequences and ghastly and eye-popping images and visuals for you to enjoy, all without that woke nun slamming a ruler on your hand, telling you that you need to do this in order to live a good woke lifestyle. So yeah, that's great news. That's another one in the plus column for Final Destination Bloodlines right there. Okay. So, and I would be remiss here in this episode if I didn't remind you that, hey, if you guys are enjoying this episode, even this, streamlined, bare bones episode of Movies Merica Live, enough to maybe throw a buck or two my way, or even more if you want. God knows I'm not going to stop you if you want to throw 100 down on me. You want to throw a Benjamin Franklin my way, hey, by all means. But you don't have to do that. I mean, a buck or two is fine. That's only if you feel like doing it, and only if you feel that I have earned it and I'm worthy of your money. And so, in order to do that, if you are so inclined, is if you're watching me on Rumble, you can give me what's called a Rumble rant. That's their tool that you can use to throw a buck or two my way. And the way to do that is very easy. So down by where you type in your live chat message, if you're live chatting right now and I can't see it, then you know where you type in your live chat message. So you can, right down there is a button with a dollar sign on it. And when you click on that, it'll just ask you how much you want to throw my way, how much cash, how much money you want to throw my way. And that's it. Very easy. And then if you are checking me out on the tube of views, or what's normally called YouTube, you can give me what's called a super chat. That's what they call it there. And that works very similarly to the way it works on Rumble. Down by where you type in your live chat message, there's a button with a dollar bill on it. And again, just like in Rumble, it'll just ask you how much you want to donate to this guy right here. And that's it. Very easy, okay? But only if you believe I deserve it, okay? Because, I am not going to be one of those hosts that are like, you're not very classy if you don't give me any money. How dare you watch my show without throwing me some clams, without throwing me some dinero? So I'm not going to be that whiny type, okay, that I see on some other shows there. And because I've seen some hosts go as far as saying, hey, if you're not going to give me a Rumble rant or not give me a super chat, just turn my show off right now. I'm like, done and done. Click. All right. So I'm way ahead of you, pal. All right. Oh, you're going to be like that? Then, yep. Click. I'm clicking off your show. I am not going to be like that. I am not going to be like that at all right there. Okay. So it's one of the few ways I'm not nauseating. Okay. So, but my final thoughts here as we get ready to wind down this bare bones edition of Movies America Live is I'm sure you have gathered from my thoughts and comments and observations about Final Destination Bloodlines is I think you should go to the theater to check out this movie. Okay. Now, for God's sakes, don't take your 8-year-olds to this thing. All right. Don't take the kiddies to this thing. Don't warp and twist their minds, and don't do your part to create the next serial killer by bringing your 7-year-old to go see a bloody, gory, gruesome Final Destination movie. Okay, so I don't want that. All right, our FBI serial killer profiles are busy enough as it is. All right, they don't need you creating the next Buffalo Bill or Hannibal Lecter. Okay, so don't do that. But for adults, and even like kids that are 16, 17, 18 years old, but of course that's all up to you. I think they can handle it, okay, because the kills are just kind of so cartoonish and outlandish and that kind of thing. They're borderline like Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote, kind of kills, that kind of thing. So it's not a dark movie. I mean, I know like when you see kills in a movie that's designed to be dark and morose, then yeah, those are more disturbing. But these Final Destination movies are just so kind of like so fun and casual, and they're really meant to be watched with a group at a movie theater there. And so I know I've seen I think I saw Final Destination 3 at a movie theater. Yeah, it was Final Destination 3. It was the one with the roller coaster. And I remember watching that with a group of people, and it was so fun. It was a great time. It was a great time. Just, being in a movie theater and everyone's like going, oh my God, oh, like at the same time. It's fantastic there. And, or, it was, oh my God, all at the same time. It's fun. And you're just like looking around and they're like, oh my God, did you see that? Oh my God. Like it's all at the same time. It's quite the good time there. So it's always fun to watch these Final Destination movies at a theater with others there. So and hey, would it kill you to put down the PS5 controller, and actually go out there and have some sun on your face and go out there and learn to interact with other human beings, go out there and talk with other Homo sapiens, okay, there and learn. Maybe you might have to relearn how to be social, okay, again. And it's a good opportunity at the theaters. It's going to see movies with other people. It's a good opportunity to relearn, like, oh yeah, there's other human beings here in this world, not just the ones that I know on Fortnite. Okay, so there you go. Okay, see, that's my little dad lecture right there. Okay, go out there and touch grass. Remember when everyone used to say that on online, like, you need to relax, go out there and touch grass. And everyone, that was a big thing that everyone always said on the internet. And I'm sure there's probably some losers that still go out there and use that there. But anyway, so yeah, again, hey, go ahead if you would like this episode. And again, if you want to go into my past episodes and like all those too, by all means. And if there's anybody that you even remotely think likes movies, go ahead and share the link to this episode to them, okay, or with them, okay? Yeah, email it to them, instant message it to them, text it to them, carrier pigeon it to them, whatever you want to print it off on a piece of paper and put it in a box and FedEx it to them. Well, that's a little over the top and it's way too much work. But if you want to do it that way, by all means, that's all good. That's totally cool. All right. But yeah, it's time to wrap up this bare bones, streamlined edition of Movies America Live. I appreciate you guys all bearing with me. The process of this interstate move that I made is almost complete. I'm not going to call it complete until the Movies America Live studio is up to full operational power, like the Death Star. Okay, so it's not totally complete until then. So, but thank you for bearing with me until that is the case right there. But hey, everybody, like I always say, get out there, people. Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. See you.